Hey guys, Kev here, and I wanted to do a quick comparison video. I have two knives that I think are a little bit similar in ways, different in others, and I have a third one to kind of just throw in there because I got it recently. I got them all recently. One's a loaner, and I just wanted to do a quick comparison. I've been doing a lot of reviews and unboxings. I just thought something different would be cool. So what I have is the Urban EDC Vox F5.5 here. This was my Knife of the Year winner for 2020. Snuck in at the last minute there and won it. It's just a gorgeous piece. A great cutter, great ergonomics, very good action for a little knife. Just all around fantastic knife, and I've raved about it before, so I'm gonna skip the first impressions on that knife and go right to the review in a week or so, just because I've talked about it enough. And like I've said before, I don't want to just beat a dead horse because I can. The knife I want to compare it to is the Spyderco Bombshell. So this is the loaner knife. I got this in from my good buddy Jake, Bearded Gear. Shout out to Jake. And I absolutely adore this knife so far. I'm really loving it. I will also skip the first impressions on this knife because I'm going to be going over it here. And again, don't want to repeat myself too much. And I really think these are comparable knives. I just think they're very similar in a lot of ways in terms of size, thickness, deployment methods, carry, action, just all around. They're very similar knives, even though they're different in a lot of ways as well. And a third knife I kind of wanted to just throw in there, and I might just talk about it a little bit here, is the Banter. And I just unboxed this knife last night. I don't know if that'll be live by the time I post this video, but keep an eye out for that. It's a sweet little knife. It's really growing on me since I got it in hand. When I unboxed it, I had a couple of gripes, which I still have a couple, but it is really growing on me. And it also is just a similar sized knife to these two. So you can see it's hard for me to hold them all at once, but here's the F5.5 in the Banter. And then the Bombshell in the Banter. So this one has thumb studs, obviously, and not the thumb hole like the Bombshell and the F5.5, but it's a similar kind of deployment method, studs, holes, etc. They all run on a liner lock. You can see here the liner in there for lockup. On the Banter, on the Bombshell, you have a liner lock here for lockup. And on the F5.5, you have a liner lock for the lockup. So just very interesting, comparable knives. Ergonomically, they are also very similar. At least two of them are. So the Vox F5.5, in terms of ergonomics, you're looking at a very good grip back here where I can get 3 full fingers and my 4th finger kind of hangs off in this backwards grip, and then I can choke it up like that to get all 4 on, but it's, it's kind of tight. But once you move your index finger up to this choil here, it is just absolute money. It just feels so good in your hand. You have the jimping halfway up the blade here that Vox always does. And it's just a fantastic cutter. It just feels really good in hand. And if you look at the Bombshell here, it's a little bit different because it doesn't have that forward finger choil, right? So when you're back here, you can get 3 solid fingers on, and that 4th finger kind of floats, just like on the Vox or the Urban EDC. And then you can get it on, and it's a little bit tight, but it's fine. But then you have this flat right here. Before the blade starts, you have this flat where you can put your index finger and move everything up, and it just feels so good. It's so comfortable, especially if your thumb drops down right past this point here. It's just a perfect landing spot. It's just a very comfortable grip. So I do think these two are comparable in that way, even though one has a choil and one doesn't. They do it differently, but they both do it very well. And then if you go ahead and look at the Banter, it's a little bit of a different story. On this knife, you don't have a choil or that flat, so you end up putting all your fingers into the grip here, right? And there's a swell, and then there's this little flat spot. It reminds me of the Ace Grand a lot because it has the same kind of angled flat spot back there. But somehow when I put all my fingers on this one, it's kind of the same way that the other two feel when you're in the choke back position, except for this one feels more comfortable. I have a stronger grip. It doesn't feel awkward, where these feel a little bit awkward back like this and way more comfortable choked up, right? The Banter just feels really good back here, and then your thumb lands about, 3/4 of the way up the blade, and you have a ton of control for cutting. And this is a much more lightweight, thin blade, thin knife compared to the other two. I mean, it's not much thinner than the Vox, but it definitely is thinner. And then if you look at the Bombshell, of course, it's definitely going to be thinner than that guy. So, and if we compare these two, they are a little bit more similar. The Bombshell is still going to be bigger or thicker, but they're definitely more comparable. So I'm going to kind of go ahead and remove the Banter here. It's a good little knife, a great cutter. I would say this is a fantastic 5th pocket, like, backup knife. And these two to me could be primary knives as well as backup knives. I would feel comfortable using this knife as my only knife because of how comfortable it is, how much blade I get, just the grip in general. It's just such a good knife and so comfortable. And the Bombshell is exactly the same way. And this knife is super capable with this extremely thick blade. And then it has this really nice hollow grind on it, which does come down to a decent edge. You wouldn't think that based on how thick the blade stock is, but it just works. There's just things that work for this knife. Michael Birch, who designed this, just did a great job, just like Jesper Voxnäs does a great job putting a lot into a small package. Michael Birch did the same thing here. And I'm interested to compare this one to the new Birch Tree Designs Secant, I think it's called. Secant or Secant. It's Secant. I have that on the way. I bought one of those, so I really want to compare that to the Bombshell here because they're both designed by Michael Birch over at Birch Tree Designs. And yeah, so I just wanted to do that kind of quick comparison between these two because it just stood out to me. And then this morning when I was kind of getting my stuff together, I dropped the Banter next to these two, and I was like, oh, this also kind of is a similar style of knife. And I took a shot. You can see it on my Instagram where I have all 3 lined up, closed, and then open. And it just was intriguing to me to see them and see how comparable they are. Yet they're completely different. I mean, if you look at the layout of this knife, you have what to me looks kind of like a toucan beak here with this hump coming up, and then you have this little nub here back into G10 handles. You do not have the choil, and then you just have this kind of flat, looks like a slight recurve at the beginning, and then a belly kind of up to the tip on this heavy duty blade. And on this guy, you have a flat, kind of sheep's foot blade here with a little bit of belly in it going out to the tip, kind of similar, kind of a beak type tip, but definitely not as thick of stock, definitely still sturdy, thick stock. Comes down to a good fine edge as well, but this is a flat grind, not a hollow grind, and you obviously have this choil that is super comfortable. Obviously, this is made by Riot out of China, and this guy is made by Spyderco out of their Taichung, Taiwan plant. And then you have the Banter made by out of China as well. So just super comparable knives. Just wanted to show you guys that. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I will catch you later.